Today's topic is sure to take you to new heights as we explore the wondrous world of rockets and spaceships. Buckle up and get ready for a wild ride, because we're about to blast off into the cosmos with these out-of-this-world curiosities about rockets. First up, did you know that the Saturn V, the rocket that carried the Apollo missions to the moon, was so powerful that it could lift a 50-ton tank up into space? This mighty machine was capable of generating a thrust of 7.5 million pounds, making it one of the most powerful machines ever built. And get this, it burned through 15 tons of fuel per second during liftoff. That's enough to power a car for over 2 million miles. I don't know about you, but I think we should start using rocket fuel in our cars. Imagine the possibilities. Next on our list of rocket curiosities is the fact that rockets can't fly in space. You heard me correctly. Rockets can't actually fly in space because there's no air for them to push against. So how do they move? Well, they use something called reaction mass. Basically, the rocket expels fuel out of its back end, which creates a force that propels it forward. It's like pushing yourself away from a wall in zero gravity. So the next time you see a rocket taking off, remember that it's not really flying. It's just shooting out a bunch of hot gas to propel itself forward. Now, let's talk about the shape of rockets. Have you ever wondered why they're shaped the way they are? Well, it turns out that the shape of a rocket is actually very important for its performance. Rockets are designed to be long and narrow because this shape reduces drag, or the resistance that air creates when an object moves through it. The pointed nose of a rocket helps it slice through the air more efficiently, while the long, narrow body helps it maintain its speed. So the next time you see a rocket blasting off into space, remember that its shape is just as important as its engine. Speaking of engines, did you know that the first rocket engine was invented over 2,000 years ago by the ancient Greeks? The Greeks were experimenting with rocketry way back in 400 BC. They used steam to power their rockets, which were used primarily for fireworks displays and as weapons. But it wasn't until the 20th century that rockets really took off, thanks to the work of pioneers like Robert Goddard and Wernher von Braun. These guys were the real rocket scientists, and they paved the way for the incredible space technology we have today. Let's move on to a more explosive topic, rocket fuel. Did you know that rocket fuel is so powerful that it can melt steel? That's right. Rocket fuel is not something you want to mess around with. It's made up of a mix of chemicals that are designed to burn at extremely high temperatures, creating a huge amount of energy in the process. In fact, the heat generated by rocket fuel is so intense that it can cause the metal of the rocket to literally melt. So the next time you're watching a rocket take off, just remember that there's a whole lot of heat and energy being generated under the hood. And finally, let's talk about the biggest rocket ever built, the mighty Saturn V. This colossal machine stood over 363 feet tall and weighed a staggering 6.5 million pounds. But did you know that the Saturn V wasn't just big, it was also incredibly complex? This rocket was made up of 3 main stages, each with its own engine and fuel supply. The first stage was powered by 5 F1 engines, which burned through 20 tons of fuel per second during liftoff. The second stage used 5 J2 engines, which burned a combination of liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen to generate thrust. And the third stage was powered by a single J2 engine, which was used to push the Apollo spacecraft into orbit around the moon. But here's the real kicker. The Saturn V was controlled by a computer with less computing power than a modern-day smartphone. The guidance computer used in the Saturn V had just 72 kilobytes of memory and ran at a speed of 0.043 MHz. To put that into perspective, the average smartphone today has about 100,000 times more memory and runs at a speed of over 2 GHz. So the next time you're complaining about your slow computer, just remember that NASA managed to land people on the moon with a computer that was less powerful than your phone. Now, let's talk about some of the weirder things that have been sent into space. Did you know that a Buzz Lightyear toy from the movie Toy Story once spent 467 days on board the International Space Station? In 2008, NASA sent a Buzz Lightyear action figure into space as part of a partnership with Disney. The toy spent over a year in orbit, conducting experiments and inspiring kids all around the world to pursue careers in science and engineering. And when Buzz finally returned to Earth, he was given a ticker tape parade through the streets of New York City. Talk about a hero's welcome. And speaking of heroes, let's talk about the animals that have been sent into space. Did you know that the first animal to orbit the Earth was a dog named Laika? Laika was a stray dog from the streets of Moscow, and she was chosen to be the first animal to test the effects of spaceflight on living creatures. Sadly, Laika did not survive her trip into space, but her sacrifice paved the way for future space missions and helped us learn more about the dangers of space travel. And finally, let's talk about some of the strange things that astronauts have done in space. Did you know that one astronaut once smuggled a corned beef sandwich onto a space mission? In 1965, astronaut John Young snuck a corned beef sandwich on board the Gemini 3 mission, despite the fact that NASA had strict rules about what food could be taken into space. The sandwich caused a bit of a mess when it started to crumble in zero gravity, but it also provided some much-needed humor for the crew during a stressful mission. To this day, the corned beef sandwich remains one of the most iconic moments in space history. Well, that's all the time we have for today. I hope you enjoyed these curious facts about rockets and space travel. Now, I want to hear from you. What do you think about rockets and space travel? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe to Curiosity Caboodle for more fascinating and entertaining content. Until next time, keep exploring the curiosities of our world. Thanks for watching, and stay curious.